Hello. Wait, is this picking up even me breathing now? Oh no! Oh, this is gonna be so weird. Is my voice sound quality any better than usual? I've been fiddling with my voice settings. It's at least showing up that I'm speaking at a much louder volume than before. If nothing else. A bit more bass. Oh. Shit. Wait, is that good or... It's loud and clear. Okay, well, what about the volume? What about the bass? Yeah, sure, but like, what about the volume? wait. I don't even know what bass means. Does that mean that I sound... Do I sound deeper than usual? No. Shit. I just turned the volume down a little bit. Nice! So it is loud enough now. Very good. Very good. Because a lot of people... Bass is what... Oh! Okay. Do I sound warm to you guys? Do you get warm fuzzies? Volume is fine, but the quality to my ears is worse. What do you mean by quality, per se? You sound more like a radio advert voice now. Wait, what do I sound like? What the fuck? Wait, how can I hear myself? What let me hello. Hello. Pee pee poo poo. Pee pee poo poo. Wait, I sound just fine, don't I? Pee pee poo poo. Wait, I sound just fine, don't I? What the fuck? Wait, I sound just fine, don't I? What the fuck? What are you guys whining? Wait, what do you mean radio advert? I sound great, don't I? What the fuck? Is it really that different? Maybe I need to tone down the bass just a little bit. I just set like a preset that was like loud and clear or something like that. Let me actually see if I can do this live, and let's find the good like sort of middle ground for this. It's this one. So let's lower down the bass a little bit, like this. Like that. And now, like so. I don't know if that actually did anything. Does it sound any different? I did tone it. Sounds a lot better in my opinion. Okay, well I turned down the bass a little bit, so it's not as aggressive anymore. Music is much quieter compared to mic volume. Yes, as it should be, because in a lot of past streams, I've had the issue where my voice gets kind of crowded into the music. Yesterday, when I was looking over my big fish tier list, I had this thing where like I don't know, it just like it's kind of irritating to me to listen to it, because it's hard to figure, like it sort of forces you to focus a little bit harder on what I'm saying, because my voice kind of gets distorted in the middle of the music, if that makes any sense. But now it shouldn't be distorted anymore, so we should be good. Sounds a lot better. Well, that's good. And hello there, DVs. We were doing like a mic check first, because I edited my audio settings, so I should be a little bit more loud and clear now. Let me see, what do I sound like now? Is it actually that different? Okay. Let's see. Okay, so it doesn't cut out the first letter of my words either. Okay. I think we're good. I think. So now the audio issues have been sort of figured out because I've been way too quiet previously. So now I should be good, so people can hear me more easily, and the streams are easy to listen to even if you don't use headphones, which is pretty important, I feel. But setting that aside, today we have a special little subject matter because I was requested by Yersu to give a lecture on how to give art critique. And instead of doing my usual where I have like the PowerPoint presentation that I made in like 10 minutes, I figured that the best way to sort of show how to give art critique is to show it through practice. So, well, I asked people to send me stuff to critique, but because people are very shy and don't like to be critiqued, I only got one thing. So we're probably gonna, well, we don't really have a choice here, to be honest. but Bear did send me his little thingy. I don't know if he's here yet. But we have a, like this is not a drawn art thing, but this is a written art thing, which is basically the same. The way you structure critique, be it written art or literary art, I guess, or drawn art, is basically the same. Also, Amico, did you pass your exam? You better fucking. I guess you probably wouldn't know about that yet. Hello there, Bear. You arrived right at the right time. Yes, very good. So what we're gonna do is no, god damn it, you fucking stupid child. I will be. Well, it's no wonder you didn't pass, because you spent the entirety of yesterday just looking at fucking, like, robot asses. Fucking study, you lazy shit. God damn it. Anyway, let's go over Bear's cool story. Well, this is Bear's character lore for his furry character. So we're gonna read it through, and then we're gonna discuss it from the perspective of critique. And if you have anything you'd like me to see, for example, yes, it is your furry character. Shut up. If you have any fucking, what's it called? If you have any art you'd want me to see, just DM it to me. We can critique multiple things over the stream. It doesn't have to be just one. Okay, but let me read you guys a story about Bear's furry fursona. Once upon a time, the Norse goddess Frigg bore her husband Odin a son, and they named him Thor. He was to become the god of thunder and was counted among the mightiest gods of Asgard. So strong was he, even as a child, that his force unbridled by his youthful mind broke every door that he opened and every toy that he played with. And the other children gave him a wide berth, fearing for their very lives were they to play with him. In his loneliness, Thor cried every night, what a fucking pussy, and wished for but a single friend. It was this plea that Odin overheard one night, and he tasked, Odin Othosan was like at behind the door, and his child is like, god damn it, I'm so fucking strong, no, everybody's dying. Odin overheard one night, and he tasked himself with making for his son a playmate. He needed to be robust as to take Thor's strength without injury, but soft and kind as to be a friend to him as well. So thinking, he cut from the world tree Yggdrasil a sturdy branch and tore from his own beard a great handful of hair, then promptly covered the branch with it. Frigg! Wait, it was Frigg before. Why is it Frigga here and Frigga here? Which one is it? Frigga then imbued the wood with satyr magic, that it be given life. The creature that emerged became the first bear. They named him Askeladd. Where is this motherfucker? Let's look at this while we read this. They named him Askeladd. This meant Ashelad in the Aesir language, chosen to honor the ash tree Yggdrasil, whose wood they had used in his creation. Askeladd wore a coat of fur so thick and soft that Thor adored him immediately. He's a furry. His body made tough by Yggdrasil's wood. Nary flinched if he was hit by accident when he played. And with a heart as soft as his fluffy exterior, as long as you don't visit his F-list page. His fluffy exterior he never begrudged his friend, yet reminded him always to control his strength. The young god gladly obliged this request, learning to rein in the power that he saw no longer as a curse. And so the ages passed and they grew up as brothers and best friends. However, there came a time when Thor's lust for adventure awakened, and Askeladd's lust for furries awakened, and Asgard would no longer contain him. Thus he departed Asgard to visit foreign lands and meet new people, and he went on to amass such glory in his conquests and battles that they are recorded to this very day. And always he remembered his brother. Askeladd's tale is not told as widely. He left Asgard as soon as his brother, his own appetite for adventure whetted by the grand tales of heroes told in Valhalla's mead hall, and his duty no longer binding him to Thor. He went on to explore the 9 realms, though it was Midgard, the world of man, that took his fancy the most. He was known to live amongst humans, or in the seclusion of untamed wildlands, as long as he had functional internet connection. Wherever his fancy took him, always curious and eager to learn, and always he too remembered his brother. Then he found out about Twitch and chaos ensued. And then the Twitch people found out about his F-list and nobody was surprised. Except for his mother. The end. Okay. So let me get my furry coat so that I can get in character here. There we go. No, seriously, I get cold so easily that it's like fucking hell. Okay. So so when you start critiquing art, the most important thing that you should always ask a person, unless you already know the answer, is what is the goal of this work of art? For what purpose did you make it? Is it just for fun? Is it like some promotional material? Is it like, I don't know, your F-list profile? Like what is the meaning or purpose of this artwork? So usually when you have art critique, the best situation to give art critique is when you're able to have a conversation with the artist, because then you don't have to make weird assumptions. And since Bear is here, I'm gonna sort of employ myself as best as I can. And the important thing right here is to ask him, what is the purpose of this work of art? Because from that perspective, we can understand what is the level of weight that we should critique the work on. So essentially, for example, if somebody says that, yeah, I just drew something for fun and I'd like to hear your thoughts on its technical sides, or I did this to be sold or pitched to a publisher or something like that, obviously you need to give different critique depending on the goals of the person, because there's no reason to be super cruel when or well, there's never really reason to be super cruel, but there's no real reason to be super harsh when a person is doing something just for fun. And since we have here a thing that is, I'm assuming, just for fun, want a backstory for my VTuber persona to give it character. So let me ask you: is Askeladd a? It's an actual character. Is Askeladd an actual character from the Norse mythos? Is your character basically like Hercules from the Disney version? It's like the Disney version of like this is the Twitch version of Askeladd, or is this a completely original creation? This is just for fun. As monetary gain is concerned, I don't aim to use it. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, so you borrowed the name. Okay, very good. So essentially, we have here a little blurb that is written for fun, and from that knowledge, we are going to critique it a little bit more softly. We're not going to go super hard on it, because that's obviously, sometimes people ask for critique to sort of get a confidence boost. A lot of people sometimes think that giving critique is about pointing out the mistakes of a person, but that's not what critique is. The critique is supposed to be helping a person grow as an artist. That's the sort of purpose of it. So the easiest way to start thinking about how should I give critique and in what order is the so-called hamburger model, where the buns of the hamburger are complements and the meat in the middle is the sort of not so complimentary stuff of the text. Essentially, you can learn just as much from being complimented as you can learn from being pointed out that, hey, you didn't do this super well, and hey, you didn't do that super well. Complimenting other people is very important from the purpose of giving them confidence in the things that they're already good at. And usually people who are already good at something, or they feel proud about something, they're more motivated to study further, and that can easily lead into becoming better at something. It's kind of close-minded to think that just because, let's say I say that, hey, Askeladd, I really like how you capitalize your first letter in every sentence. That's very well done. Then Askeladd will be like, the bear will be like, oh shit, I'm so good at this, I don't need to focus on this ever again. And then he starts making a lot of capitalization errors. So it is usually good to compliment people as well. So let's start with the compliments. So first things first, I like how you try to write it in a more like fanciful, fantasy-esque manner. It's very good. It's really good, especially, I don't know how many times you've written stuff like this, but it's very good for a first try at least. There are some sentences that are kind of tough to digest. They're a little bit sort of, I don't know, they're a little bit heavy. It's something in here at least caught my attention. We'll go more into detail with it. But when you are writing this kind of heavy language, I think it's to be expected that it's going to be a little bit tough to digest. However, from a perspective of a writer, especially when you're writing like light literature, essentially, basically the idea is just to be for fun, and it doesn't really have any marketing or commercial purpose. It's okay to sort of not go too gung-ho with this kind of writing. I get that this was basically an exercise. It's basically a writing exercise, but it's also an important skill to understand the text from the perspective of your reader, where it's like, okay, so my reader is probably not interested in writing like reading like high-end prose. It's just, I can use these fanciful words and these fanciful sentence structures and stuff like that without making it as convoluted as it can easily come off to as people when you read a lot of this. There are some slightly odd things in the grammatical side of it, like small grammatical mistakes, but as somebody who just did proofreading for 300 pages of text, I can understand that. Sometimes they just happen. It's not really something that a lot of people pay attention to, and if you ever get critiqued for a text that is just for fun, for your commas and stuff like that, that person, that's like a clear sign that that person just doesn't know what to talk about. So don't let those bother you too much. I know a lot of people are very, very sort of paranoid about comma mistakes and stuff like that, but they are not. They're basically the same as having like when I showed off the spicy variant cover earlier this week, and it was like it had like these little tiny thingies to the coloring. You can't really see them, but if you really look for them, you can see them. That's basically the same here, where you don't need to worry about that kind of stuff too much. It's good to understand where sort of capitalization and commas and whatever belong, but yeah, but it's not something that you need to concern yourself over for this kind of text. Might make it version into an intro movie like some VTubers have, but it's more of an exercise than the final version. Yes. So in terms of the narrative structure, it's decent. First we set up the scene and we give like an emotional cue. We are given this information about Thor, who needed a playmate, and for that purpose Askeladd was created. And then Askeladd is described here, and then we talk about Thor again, and then we talk about Askeladd's F-list profile, and then we have the light sort of, because this is like heavy fantasy shit. Then we have like this little anyway, let's ignore those. And then this is like the mood lightener at the end. Usually when you write like heavy stuff, it's good to have like a tonal shift at the end to sort of be like, it's like a palette cleanser for a cleaner. Not cleaner, reader. I just got up. It's like a palette cleanser for a reader. This one isn't particularly charismatic. We're gonna go into that in a little bit. The main thing that I would point out here is how this is more about Thor than this is about Askeladd. So it doesn't feel like this is a story about Askeladd per se, but it feels more like a story about Thor and how Thor got his new best bro. So it feels like the focus of the story is a little bit diverted. It could definitely use the perspective of Askeladd a little bit more in this. For example, like here we talk about Thor's loneliness and Thor's crying. We could start the story, for example, from Odin creating Askeladd and Askeladd learning that Thor has this thing where he feels lonely and stuff like that. So basically we tell the exact same story, but we change the perspective to be from Askeladd's, like we started from Askeladd's birth, and we go on with that with Askeladd as the sort of perspective that we're looking into this situation through, which it doesn't mean that we do go into first person RP, but just having Askeladd as the central character here makes it so that, because especially in a VTuber context, people are going to start asking about Thor. Like, so what about Thor? What does Thor look like? Blah, 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 blah. And that's not relevant, because Thor isn't actually important at all here, because Askeladd is the one who's the main character here. But now it feels like we are learning about the story of Thor, and we are learning about how one of the side characters in his story was created. And while that is technically speaking true, from the purpose of this story is to make Askeladd as the main character. So that's something that you could definitely think about a little bit. Sorry, I'm biting my fingernails. Delicious. Yeah, all good. All good. So that's something good. Actually, let's talk about this. So this stuff over here. Let's talk about gap rule in narrative. So gap rule is a narrative element when a sort of like an unexpected element is introduced into a situation or a story that has a particular tone to it. We have a very serious tone throughout this story from start to the end, where Askeladd is shown as this sort of support character for Thor, and the tone of the story is quite heavy, and it's like this is the birth of an adventure. This is the beginning of a journey, and then we have the mood lightener at the end. Then he found about Twitch and chaos ensued. But the thing here is that this isn't sort of impactful enough to make it funny. We have this heavy text here, so we need to have this this match the sort of energy of this, or overlap it. So basically I sort of get the feeling from this part here is that you wanted to be like, yeah, let's add a funny little joke here, but you felt maybe a little bit shy about it or something like that, and because of that, you didn't have the courage to go gung-ho with it. So I would like you to put a little bit more courage to it. Like, for example, and he too always remembered his brother, and then one day Askeladd discovered what the internet is, and that's when everything went downhill, or that's where everything went downhill from, or something like that. Chaos ensued is like this, like, ooh, girl, I'm a cute anime girl. But if you make it so that sort of make it so that Askeladd is built up as this like noble creature, and one day in his cottage, Askeladd found a curious note on his desk. It was marketing internet connections. Askeladd had a 1 gigabit connection routed to his little hut in his house, and he discovered the internet. He wasn't seen since. or something like that, where it's like it suddenly takes a complete turn into a very comedic direction, and you can go like a little bit hard. You can go a little bit harder with it. You don't have to leave it at this, because this is too shy. With how like what I like to talk about in art is like the volume of a work of art is like, imagine the work of art as like singing, and this is like doom 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 at the end, where it loses a lot of its energy towards the end. So the energy at the end needs to match the energy that it has had so far. So don't just make it like a small little curious like a shitty side note, but instead give it like the impact that the rest of the story has, because that emphasizes the comedy of it, which is like the narratives, like keep the narrative style the same, where it uses this fanciful way of narration, and then just add like a story about him discovering the internet and everything going to shit from there, or something like that. But if you change the style completely in like a small anecdote at the end, it will feel out of place, and it sort of has that energy where your friend has shown off like his new favorite hobby, and he's really into it. And then at the end of getting like talking about it like really passionately, they realize that, oh shit, I must have bored everybody. And then they go like add like a shitty little joke at the end, and everybody's like, yeah, that was pretty good. Go like, you know, you can like as extreme as your interests may be, I sort of have always gotten an energy from you that you're a semi-shy person. So I would like you to focus on practicing being a less shy person when it comes down to your art. It's okay to be shy when it's when you, as a person, there's nothing wrong with it. But as an artist, your artwork can't be shy. Don't let your artwork be shy. It suffers from it. So let your artwork be bombastic. Let it be powerful. And I'm sure you will be able to write things that will make people like laugh in tears or cry in tears or have a lot more emotional connections to it when you sort of set aside your inherent limiter that you sort of have in your heart for putting everything there is to you out there. When it comes down to written art and drawn art, usually it's easy to sort of make a connection to it if it's well made, and usually that connection is a lot easier to make if you can feel that the person who wrote it like poured their heart out to it. It's quite important to, you know, just be honest with yourself, with your art as well. So have courage. That's what I would say about this ending here. Outside of that, I think it's fine. There's a few heavy sentences here. I won't go into detail specifically into sentence structuring and stuff like that, because that's technically speaking a subjective matter. So it's basically a matter of personal preference. Like, for example, like if I had to point out something, for example, this sentence: so strong was he, even as a child, that his force unbridled by his youthful mind broke every door that he opened and every toy that he played with. For example, this could basically be divided into two sentences, one for the doors and one for the toys. Some of the, especially with how heavy the language is to begin with, would be easier to digest if it was dissected a little bit. But that's neither here or there. It's completely dependent on how you want to look at it. But outside of that, I mean, it's a cute little story. I don't think there's anything particularly wrong with it. It's well written. It has slight like tonal oddities to it. Like the biggest and most important things are the fact that make it more about Askeladd. Heavy, no, the sentence is heavy as in lengthy, and the language is heavy as in you use a lot of like odd sentence structures. For example, so strong was he. He was so strong would be the normal structuring of this, but the fanciful way of saying it, so strong was he. Like this kind of stuff, when you're a reader, you have to take a small moment to be like, okay, so the implication is the same as what I'm used to, but it's just structured in a completely different manner that I'm not normally going to encounter. And because of this, it requires a little bit more focus to digest it. And that means that it's easier to digest it if it's in smaller pieces. So if you make very long sentences in language like this, it can be hard for the readers to be like, oh, just a second, where was I? You know. But that's some readers are like very experienced readers, I'm sure, will be having no trouble whatsoever with this shit. But keeping in mind that this is probably for a Twitch audience, you might want. You might want to understand that their attention span is like 2 seconds. So yeah. But yeah, but the main focus points here. Askeladd should be the focus, and the sort of courage. Remember to keep the volume level balanced throughout the story. Those are like the biggest, most important points that I can point out for this. Yeah, that's me trying to emulate ye old English. Yes, I figured. But yeah, it's a cute little story. But as you saw there, the structuring was quite simple. I started off with compliments, and then we went into the meat and potatoes of things, which was going into pointing out some things that felt a little bit odd. And when you're critiquing a person's work, it's important to not use words like "I think this is bad," or "I think this is like just a." Like don't just be like, okay, I think this is wrong, because art is subjective, and sometimes there's no sort of right or wrong. Using sentences or wordings like I don't know if I do it this way, or I feel like this here is a little bit strange, or I don't feel like this portrays your goals for this work properly, or something along those lines. It's understanding the sort of weight of your words is pretty important, because a lot of people out there, especially in the internet, they don't have any source of professional critique, and they probably don't have a lot of confidence in their own work. And when you critique them, they might think that, oh, this person said like this, which means that it has to be true. But you have to understand that all critique is subjective as well. The higher and loftier your goals are, the less subjective a critique becomes. For example, if you your work's purpose is to show off how your quality has improved, it's easier to gauge it objectively, because you can be like, okay, well, I can compare this to the previous work that you've done and check if it actually has improved. But when you are critiquing somebody's work that is just done for fun, it's a lot easier to sort of forget that your critique is subjective, and don't push your sort of way of thinking down somebody's throat if they're not accepting it. It's more about portraying your personal vision of the work to the person. Just because I say these things doesn't mean that Bear has to change any of these things. He can completely disagree with me, and that's totally fine, because that's what critique is. It's a conversation. It's not so much me telling you how to do things. It's a conversation. Unless you specifically are aiming for something that I can quantify objectively, such as, hey, I would like to send a manga to a publisher. Do you think it's good enough right now? And as a person who has successfully sent a comic to a publisher, I can look at it and quantify that. I wonder if it is, and you know, from that perspective, I can give more objective critique. But for stuff like this, always keep in mind that critique is supposed to just be your opinion. And if you're the kind of person who gets personally offended when somebody doesn't take your critique, it's like, it's no, just no. Okay, but we have a piece of artwork from Amiko's friend. I'm guessing. So let's look at this this woman with big titties and very short legs. Let's is there any way I could look at this where I could see the image as a whole? Okay, let me try to connect my drawing tablet onto this so we can go over this in a more sort of proper way, since we're going through drawn art. Let's see how this connects. It's her style to cut out the legs, I see. And what is the purpose of this artwork? Is it just for fun, or would she like more technical critique? Please work. I hope. Don't be difficult. Okay. Okay, so far so good. Okay, nice. We are functional. Save image as... Save. Mostly for fun and okay, so if it is for self-improvement, then we're gonna look into it from a more technical standpoint as well. Yeah, no, I connected my drawing tablet in the middle of the stream. No, normally I don't. Normally I always have my stuff connected ahead of time. But since we are gonna be looking this, something about the browser, it doesn't go super well with like large-sized images. I don't know why. Let's see here. Like so. Okay, let's see here. So we have a heavily stylized inked sort of cartoon character of a I want to say like a pyromancer. I got like the mancer word completely like bastardized for me because of Tribal Hunter, because of the cryomancer. But but I'm assuming it's a pyromancer. From a first glance, I can say that the line work, for example, the inking is quite confident. It's not necessarily professional, but it's on its way there, slowly but surely. It's nice how the weight, like sort of the line balance, has been used in the sort of emphasizing of the shapes of the character. It's a very sort of classical, almost like kind of like tattoo like style of drawing. It is like I personally like thick lines. I used to do quite thick lines back in the day as well. Not so much anymore because when you make things out for print, especially printed books, when you sort of have to downscale the image a lot, thinner lines, generally speaking, look a lot nicer. But yeah, so yeah. Okay, let's see here. Okay. Yeah. Is it common? I guess the first thing that I need to ask about is it common for this person to not draw the legs completely? Like you said that it's their stylistic choice, but most commonly when I see stylistic choices, quote unquote, like this, it's because they are scared of drawing the legs completely. Like there's some kind of issue there. Like there's this very, very common thing that I often draw or often talk about is when a person doesn't know how to draw a character's face fully. they like to cover one half of their face with hair, kind of like how I have on my face, because that makes it so that you don't have to understand the shape of the. She pretty rarely draws full. Okay, so I'm guessing that there's probably some kind of personal dislike towards drawing legs or something like that, because if I'm super honest, it looks weird. It looks like she's been amputated, which is not the most, like, I could sort of understand the value of like an iconographical look into this. However, the fact that they're sort of cut at the thighs with the kneecap missing, which should be like around here by the standard of the leg size, but the kneecap isn't there, so it doesn't feel like it's like a, okay, so this is like the cropping area of the artwork and it's being cropped here, but it feels more like a part of the anatomy is cut off, which gives often a slightly odd impression for sure. That is definitely going to be the first thing that people pay attention to when they see this for the first time. Is oh, she's missing legs. And I would personally recommend that even if you enjoy this kind of iconographical stylizations of characters and you like to fit them into paper like this, I would recommend trying to maybe cut the legs a little bit differently. So the legs don't fit on the paper. In that case, get bigger paper. Or alternatively, so there's ways to sort of make it feel more natural. For example, like if you do like a decorative, like a bubble around the character, and then you add the legs like over here, so that it feels like the character's legs are being cut off by this, instead of being cut off by this sort of imaginary border that is here, that makes it look like we need to add toes over here, and this makes it look slightly odd. And the fact that the artist has a very, very stylized way of drawing, like for example, there's like no midsection to the character's body whatsoever, and that's not necessarily a mistake. It could be a completely aware thing that they do just because they like drawing like this. But because we already have these anatomical caricaturized oddities, it's very easy for a viewer to make the connection that, oh, this must be also like just a stylized way that they like to draw the legs of the characters. For some reason, they just like to draw these really stubby characters. Which can... it can definitely create a discourse, especially with how sort of serious the artwork is, with like this edgy witch being like, ah, look at my fire powers, blah blah blah, I will suck your blood, and it contrasts weirdly with it, in my opinion, at least. But that's definitely something to think about. I would personally say draw legs. You can, for example, like since it's clear that you enjoy this sort of iconographical, sort of like sticker-like art. For example, the character's fire could be used as like a flaming outline for the character that sort of forms like a comic book panel around them, and then you can draw the legs to extend so that people's like the reader's imagination can easily fill in the blanks. Because right now, the reader's imagination cannot fill in the blanks because, for example, the anatomy isn't correct. We are missing the kneecaps, which makes it feel like this is done on purpose. But I would focus on that too much. I really like the different texturing that the character has all over. The coat and the character's skin have these like very smooth feeling things to it. But then when we, for example, look at the character's hair, it has a very like nice hair-like texture, and then we have this very detailed, manually drawn sort of patterning on the stockings, which is very nice. when it comes down to creating character designs, you can, like, often when I talk about like color theory, for example, you can also make up for the lack of sort of specific color variety by having different color texturing in the image. Basically, think of the texturing as a color of its own. As long as it stands out well, it will, you know, it's pretty nice. It's pretty nice for sure. The midsection of the outfit is definitely the low point of the coloring, because we can see the marker lines here very easily. So it's most likely the case that the red is probably maybe a little bit dried out. The red ink that the markers use. I'm guessing these are those like markers that have like pictures of manga characters on them. They leave a mark like this. But it's very easy to, it becomes very easy to notice because we have this really smooth and well balanced out texturing over here, and then you start wondering, why isn't this as good? And it stands out a little bit. It doesn't look as polished as the rest of the marker ran out of color. Yeah. So that is something that is standing out a little bit. The thing with faces that have very large eyes, this is sort of like a common thing, especially with manga and whatever, is that people who do, for example, these face tilts, it's very easy to sort of misunderstand the power of foreshortenings, and I can see it slightly here. It's also emphasized by the fact that the other eye is red, but the other eye is too small in comparison with this one. I get that the idea is that because the character is looking this way, the eye, like facing this way, should be larger than the other one, like this. But her face isn't tilted that hard. We can still see both of the eyes fully, which means that the eyes should actually be more along the side, along the lines of the same size with each other. And also, there's this golden rule of facial anatomy that is, I know that some people like to do like really extreme eyes, but those have the risk of running a little bit, like it's very easy to have characters end up looking a little bit, the face is gonna start looking a little bit imbalanced if the eyes cover like a too large space. It's most commonly seen horizontally. The rule of thumb is generally that when you draw a character's eyes, there should be roughly the space of another eye in between the eyes. And we can see here that if we take this eye right here, and we start moving it here, it covers up a lot. It covers up a lot of the other eye. It's way too big. If we were to place it on the face like this, she'd look like this. If she had equally sized eyes. So when you are stylizing characters, I get that it's fun to draw eyes. I like to draw eyes. Everybody loves to draw eyes. But especially when you're sketching, there's this very common thing that I actually saw somebody do very recently. It was one of my friends who started sketching an image, and they started doing they started drawing the character's face. I don't know if this person does it like this, but they started drawing the character's face, and they got really like into drawing something. Like, for example, oh yeah, this eye is gonna be so pretty. It's gonna have all these like nice things, and they started doing like a really detailed eye on the character before they had completely sketched out the character, and that can easily lead into these slight mismatches of proportion sizes on characters. Always sketch out the thing completely, and then check it out a little bit, and then see if everything looks good. Another really important thing in drawing is flip the canvas, because when you stare at your drawing for a very long time, it is very easy to have your brain sort of lock out the get sort of stuck where like you can't see these proportional difference mistakes that you can sometimes make. For example, the eye size is very easy to see. So in order to do that with traditional is that you have to flip the paper over and shine light through it so you can see through, and then check it out and be like, oh shit, I just noticed like the nose is like fucking in the completely wrong spot or something like that. So that's definitely something to keep in mind. The eye size for the red eyes, it's a little bit too small for the in comparison with the white eye. If the white eye was about the same size as the red eye, I feel like it would look a lot more balanced. Or take a photo with a phone and flip. Yes, that works too. Yes, very true. Outside of that, I won't really go into the anatomy because it is stylized, and for example, I really like stylized anatomy as well. So nothing wrong with it. It's totally fine. It is very aggressive. It has the character has very aggressive anatomy. It's sort of like it shows that you're confident about what you're doing. Is that these are decisions that you've decided upon, and you take them with stride, which is good. You shouldn't be tied down by boring shit like anatomical accuracy when you're making comics. It's totally fine to make anatomically stylized characters as well. So if anybody ever says to you that you need to make for example, your character's waists more proportionately balanced, you can tell them to go fuck themselves. It's totally fine to have bodies like this in drawings as well. The real thing that I would love to see is the legs, because it's hard for me to gauge what the character's anatomy is like because I don't know the length of the legs and stuff like that. So please draw legs from now on. Figure out some way to include the legs in your drawings. It will look a lot better, and people will certainly appreciate it a lot more, at least in my opinion. You can also tell that to people. Yeah. Now let's go over it from especially my point of expertise, which is color. As soon as I'm done biting my fingernail. Okay. So color theory, right? It's quite fun. Red. Okay, class. What is the contrasting color of red? What is the color that we pair up with red to make for color correct images? We have a lot of red on the character. Let's see if anybody has actually learned anything. This is more orange than red, but there's still a lot of red. Not blue. It's not blue. What is the color that we pair with red? Come on, you can do this. Remember the forest. Nobody? Seriously? God damn it. Green. There we go. Very good, Arcade. Very good. When you do a lot of red, you have to have some green in the image as well, and we have some right here, which is good. I would personally maybe choose a slightly different hue of green than this, because this is really close to yellow, and we have a lot of like these really like warm colors. So the reason to pair colors like these properly is because, for example, we clearly want the character to have a very like warm, like hot. This is the firepower. Yeah, exactly. I know, right, Guano? They still couldn't figure it out. This character has a lot of fire, and they like heat is their signature thing. So in order to emphasize that heat, you need to have something cold in the design. And the green is sort of on its way there, but it's not quite there yet. Because, like, for example, there's the character Syndrome in Finnish, in The Incredibles, or Ihmeperhe. The earring is supposed to be gold. Okay, all the more reason to point it out then. So Syndrome has this quote that goes something along the lines of, when everybody is a superhero, then nobody is. And the same thing applies to color theory, where if everything is hot, then nothing is. So basically, to emphasize the hotness of something, you need to have something cold in the image. It doesn't mean that you have to have her like fingering ice cubes or something stupid like that. But basically, there has to be something in her design that has colder colors used as the base color for it. Right now, she has nothing but warm colors to her design, which makes it seem a little bit muddled. Basically, like, the heat of her design is toned down by the fact that there's nothing to compare it with. There needs to be something in the design to compare with the well, let me explain this through like my own art. Let's see here, Clip Studio. Let's use the 7 layers designs. They're pretty easy to digest. So, for example, here, I have this character from my Pathfinder game, and we have her. She has like this really dark skin and this dark whatever ass orb or whatever, and in order to emphasize that dark part, we have this really light baby blue coat that she wears. So basically, if you want to have the characters, like some part of the character's design emphasized, especially when it comes down to colors, have something to balance it out. Right now it's missing that. It can be, like, for example, this gemstone that she has in between her titties, for example, could be, which is the toe ring? Well, she has different kinds of toes than you, Bear. Don't worry about it. They won't hurt you. The toe rings won't hurt you. For example, this thing in between her titties, this could be like a bright green or something like that, or like a cold green. By cold green, I mean a green that, instead of shading the green with darker green, you're going to shade it with a blue, like this, so that it becomes like a colder tone. And then you'll have something to balance out the heat of the character, and it will make the heat look more hot, you know? So that's definitely something that you could look to. Yellow is balanced out with purple and blue tones. Right here we have, I was sort of looking at this. This is sort of on its way there as well, but it's not close enough. So something purple would definitely make the design flare out more. For example, if like these patternings on her stockings, for example, would be drawn with a really dark purple, that would, for example, do it. Or if this was a purple hue, that would balance out the fire. Generally speaking, the rule of color theory is every hue... Oh. Come on. Every hue, every tone, and... Well, let's use an easier word. Every hue, every saturation, and brightness needs to have like an opposite. So, for example, every color that you use in your image, like the main colors, basically. So we use a lot of red, which means that we need some green. It doesn't have to be equal amount. It just has to have a little green somewhere. Every saturation, when we put like make colors like really powerful, like this, like super vivid, digitally speaking, when we're closer to this edge over here, we want to balance it out with something that is more in the grays and stuff like that to make it shine better. And then every brightness, when we do the darker spots, then we also need to have the brighter spots, which you did really well. It's already here. The brightness is not an issue right now. That's already really good. The contrast, so the saturation and the hue are suffering a little bit. So if you want to push your art further from the perspective of color theory, learn the significance of contrasting colors in character designs and stuff like this, it will definitely push your art to a new height, and it will make these traditional art is especially it's especially important to understand color theory properly, because it makes your thing shine in a way that digital art does. Digital art is very easy to sort of make things look very lustrous because you have like an infinite palette, but in traditional art, your palette is usually a little bit more limited, and by that standard, it's all the more important to understand well what colors to pair together to make them shine. So when you use red, you use green. I fucking hate color theory. Yeah, I know. It takes a little bit to get used to, but once you understand the core of it, it's actually really fun and pretty satisfying. So then you can make like cool color combinations for your characters and your artwork and stuff like that. It's quite fun. You can sort of understand the color wheel, the color theory through the color wheel. For example, here, so yellow, blue, they're contrasting colors. Green, red, they're contrasting colors. Orange, purple, they're contrasting colors. And yeah, well, yellow and blue, as we see right there. So that's basically the gist of it when it comes down to hues. And then with saturation and brightness, it's just a matter of understanding, remembering that. Okay, so we have a really high saturation blue right here. It's pretty powerfully up here. So we want to balance it out with something that is like closer to a gray, or something along those lines. So we have this here, the light blue on her stockings, that goes very close to this edge here. And the same thing with, we have a really dark skin, so we're gonna balance it out with a really bright cloth. And, you know, blue, yellow, well, pink is, it's sort of in between purple and red. So generally speaking, you can sort of balance it out with something along the lines of orange or yellow or blue or purple or something like that. Baby pink is kind of wonky. Usually baby pink is just something that you will easily combine when there's, or you will easily include with when there's a very dark surface somewhere on the design. Very, very good for understanding these sort of things. I guess I'll actually pull just this in here so that we can look at these. Since here's like a red design balance out with the green that I said earlier, and just like you who uses a lot of yellow over here, I also use a lot of yellow on this design because yellow and red go together really well, so that I balance the yellow out with the shading that is purple. Remember that it doesn't have to be that you color, like for example this fur with purple. It can just be that, okay, I'm gonna use purple as the shadow color for my character's hair. That's enough. It doesn't have to be the exact same amount. Just have some purple there, have some green there, and it's gonna look great. But that's about it. I think it's very nice. It's a nice sort of sticker, iconographical drawing. The biggest thing, honestly, is just the legs. As long as you get the legs done, you're already on a good path forward. And then up next would probably be the color theory. The color theory is the eyes are. It's like something that will sort of fix itself with time, as long as you just draw more. But the color theory is something that you do actually need to study a little bit to get the hang of it, you know. But you'll be able to make really cool looking and funny colorful characters when you understand color theory properly. So good luck with your art journey. I'm sure it'll go well. But let's close this. But again, like I said last time, hamburger model. Start from compliments, go into the meat and potatoes, and then end with reminding the artist that no, you are not made of shit. You are not the embodiment of feces. You're just fine. And I'm sure you will go somewhere with your works, you know. Because the point of critique is to encourage a person to get better. It should leave you with a feeling of like, oh shit, like I'm more motivated to draw than ever, and I want to try these new things that I'm given with this, and I want to improve, instead of feeling like, shit, I failed. Because the point of critique isn't to make you feel like you failed at something. It's to point out that or give you clues on how to become even better. Because art is an infinite journey of improvement. There's never sort of point with art when you're done. If that's why I hate it when people, especially when beginner artists, say that they're perfectionists. God, it's such a turn off for Mae-mae. I fucking hate that shit so much. Because, like, when you're a beginner, obviously, you don't know what perfection even is. What the fuck are you calling yourself a perfectionist? When you're such a noob that probably in a year you're gonna think that this work that you did with your perfectionism is gonna look like absolute garbage by today's standards. So don't get stuck in the stupid shit like perfectionism. It's not something that you need to worry about. Just think about improving and think about how you can become better. The methods don't necessarily matter as long as the results are good. It's like, how do I become better? How do I get good at like this one thing that I'm having trouble with, for example? Like, for example, with me, it was like drawing backgrounds for comics. Was something that I had issue with, and then I studied how Japanese artists do it in manga, and then I realized that they don't do it. That's the secret. They just cheat. And then I was like, okay, I guess if they do it, I guess it's okay for me to cheat as well. And now I cheat. So yeah. So backgrounds, not necessarily something that you need to get stuck on if that's not the focus of your art to begin with. Obviously, if that's your personal passion, then yeah, go for it. But yeah, understanding these sort of things is, like, you know, important. The character is based on a gemstone, so the character's colors are based on the gem on her titties. There's only a yellow gem on her titties. How do Japan artists cheat? Let me demonstrate to you. No, not this one. This one. This one. I think it's this one, right? Oh, this is the edited version. Well, actually, no, this is still fine. So like, for example, here, a really nicely drawn background, right? Well done. Looks good. Let's see, where was it? It's nothing there. It's in here. No, monochromatic. Oh yeah, there it is. Let's draw, let's say, condo apartments. And now let's hide everything else. Oh, there's the condo that we need to keep visible. Real nicely drawn condo apartment, isn't it, guys? I made it myself. Super well done, right? Most backgrounds in manga by today's standard are either done from photos, or they are done basically. There's this feature on Clip Studio called the LT conversion that allows you to convert photos into line art and tone work. Let's see. Tokyo Street. Let's see if we can find like that. No, that's somebody's deviant art. Unreal Engine Marketplace. Well, let's use this as an example. It's a higher enough resolution. So we can just take this, and then we can go to convert to lines and tones, like so. And then, for example, if we take the line work away, then we can already see that, oh, we already have the line art sort of done. Now we just need to clean up the line art. So basically what the artists actually do is they just go over this stuff and remove all of the noise that the conversion does, and clean up the line work to make it look like it's drawn. And that's basically how most backgrounds in manga are, for example, done. They don't actually have like some kind of super genius artist who just knows how to draw everything. That's unrealistic to expect that everybody knows how to draw shit like this. Or alternatively, like, for example, Korean webcomics use 3D models very often. It's very common to see them using 3D models, and then with enough editing, you can easily convert that 3D model into a really nice looking background for a comic. I've been reading a lot of Korean princess manga recently, and every single background in those is drawn with just 3D models. For example, well, I wonder if I don't know if I should. I probably shouldn't. I don't know what the copyright is like on those, so I won't risk it. But the gist of it is essentially that the only situations generally where people actually manually draw backgrounds is when they're drawing like really sketchy web manga, or when they are doing when they have an assistant who is really good at that, where the assistant will draw like custom backgrounds for them. But most people, what they do is they just go onto Clip Studio's material library over here in Clip Studio Assets and find the kind of background that they need, and then they just insert it into the image. Manga especially is narratively really not reliant on backgrounds, so you only need to show the background every now and then. and it's fine. And you can also cut like specific parts of it into panels, and it'll feel like they're their own unique panels, even though they're just cutouts of the artwork that you've already used a million times. So generally speaking, people don't actually draw the backgrounds in manga, especially, for example, because like you don't realistically have the time for that. If you need to pump out like 14 to 24 pages every week, the fuck do you have time to fucking start like scraping every single fucking perspective detail? That takes actual time. So if there's a way to go past it fast, they will always take it, and usually that makes the quality look better too. So you know what's there to lose. It's quite important to understand your own goals in art. If your goal is to become really good at drawing perspective, then obviously you're not going to be doing this. But for example, if your goal is to draw comics and you want to draw them, produce content as quickly as possible, then you do need to do this, most likely. You don't have the luxury of being like, yeah, no, I will become a grandmaster of art and I will be able to draw everything, and I will be able to draw everything really fast. Those kinds of people they exist, but they are a dime a dozen. They are really, really rare. And you don't have to be some kind of natural talent or super talented, like in general, to be a successful artist. It's just a matter of understanding what you want and how you want to get it. What if your goal is to draw very, very good backgrounds? Then draw very, very good backgrounds. Go work as an assistant to a manga artist or something like that and draw very, very good backgrounds for them. Then you can focus on nothing but the backgrounds. I mean, I honestly would love to have a custom background artist. The issue with doing backgrounds from photos and stuff like that is the fact that you can't do fantasy really easily, unless your fantasy is limited to like having a nice mansion in the middle of a forest or something like that. But any custom 3D model endeavors and stuff like that, for example, like let's say I want to have this sci-fi building that has a really unique shape to it. Obviously, you're not gonna find that pre-made in some gallery. So in order to bypass that issue, having somebody draw the backgrounds for you is obviously much better. But you know, beggars can't be choosers, so you have to figure out ways to do things without having those luxuries sometimes. But yeah, I hope that was useful. Any other artworks that you'd like me to critique? We can go over some more stuff. We still have some time if people want more stuff to be critiqued. Also, thank you to Amiko's friend who sent me your artwork. I hope that was useful in some way. Don't be too scared of color theory. It might seem complicated, but once you get the hang of it, it's really, really simple. Yeah, let's critique Yersu's art. So here's Buff Me. Shit. On the original Fat Dart, no, we can't. I don't critique. I don't critique perfection. There's no point in that. But have you guys sort of gotten a hang of understanding a little bit about critique? Remember, hamburger model. Start from compliments, go into the meat and potatoes, and then go into compliments again. Understand that words have power. Don't tell somebody that, oh, this decision is wrong and you did poorly on this one, and I think you have a lot of issue drawing this and this part. But instead be like, what is the reasoning for this choice, and your personal opinion on why it looks a little bit strange or something like that. And a really important question to usually start the critique conversation with is what is the purpose of this art? That will almost always throw off people, because it's not something that they expect, and it feels like a very bureaucratical or like a scary thing to ask people. Like, what do you mean? What is the purpose of this artwork? Like what are your goals? You don't need to start going into your goals of life or anything like that. Just understand the the general gist of it. Is this for fun? Is this for showing on some kind of portfolio? Is this for actual marketable products? Is this for this or that and this and that? And then base it base your critique on the goals that the person has in mind. For example, I've had a lot of beginner artists coming over to stream to talk about how they want to get manga published, and a lot of them want to be like the next Eiichiro Oda. And obviously, if they say something that arrogant, then I will critique them from the perspective of Eiichiro Oda being their goal, which usually is not what they want to hear. So keep your goals in art in mind properly. Be a little bit realistic. It's okay to want to be like even a successful cartoonist or something like this, but then you have to understand that in order to want to be a successful cartoonist or something like that, you also have to work in a way that implies that you're actually like pushing towards this. You can't say that you want to be a successful artist and draw something once every 3 months. Like a successful cartoonist and draw something every 3 months. That's not what cartoonists do. So be realistic about what you desire out of your artwork. When you tell, if your friend asks you ever in the context of critique, so what is the thing that you desire out of your artwork? And if they tell you that, well, my dream is to one day be illustrating for the local milk cartons. That's what I've always wanted to do. And then you critique them based on that. That like, okay, so my understanding of milk cartons right now is that they are drawn in this specific manner and this and this and this manner, and how your drawing style matches with that, and how you can what is the new thing that you can bring into the industry with your contribution to the milk carton industry. But yeah, that's the sort of gist of it. Is first understand what your critique target wants. Second, understand like from knowing what they want, figure out what is the weight of critique that you need to give them. The bigger the goals, the heavier the weight of the critique needs to be. I'm known for giving very stern critique to some people as well, because their goals are very lofty, and they have no idea what they're doing in comparison with what they want to be doing. So in those situations, I will give a lot more harsh critique. But like this, when we're just doing like these casual little fun things, we're just gonna focus on like these more gentle ways to look into this. But if the victim desires for something great, then you need to critique things from the perspective of something great as well. Then after remember the structure is always the same. It's usually good to start from compliments. If you can't figure out what to compliment, usually a good way to find things to compliment about is to ask them to provide you with some old work to compare it with. Like, hey, can you show me something older than you've done, so I can sort of compare and see what you've improved on? because it's almost impossible to not find something that a person has improved on as long as they draw consistently. So find something, you'll find something to compliment there no matter what. Then bring out the things that you feel need to be fixed, and prioritize things that you noticed first, because those are most likely the things that everybody else notices first as well. First impressions are important when glancing at art, especially in the social media culture of today, where art has a very, very, very short life, where it's usually seen for a couple seconds per person, and then you browse on to the next one. So first impression is really, really important, and that should be the focal point of your critique. Is that okay? So I feel like this is looks like this, and maybe focus on that a little bit more and improve it slightly, blah 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 blah, and then go into the other stuff as you sort of see them along the way, and be like, okay, well, actually, now that I look at this looks a little bit wonky as well. Maybe this one could be done a little bit better. Maybe this could be this, and that could be that, and blah blah blah. And the goal of the critique always is to help the artist improve. If you feel that after you're done giving your critique, you feel like your ego has been boosted, or you feel like you somehow have power over the artist, then you've given bad critique, because then you've given critique from the perspective of usually to bump them down, to bump yourself up. And that's not what critique should be about. It should be about understanding or helping somebody understand how they can improve their work. Critique is supposed to be help. It's not supposed to be, okay, you suck, and this is why. So always keep that in mind. It's okay to go harsh if people, for example, are like, yeah, I have these really lofty goals, but I don't want to put any work into it. A lot of people, especially in the art side of things, especially in the hobbyist side of things, don't understand the sort of severity of professional art. Art changes a lot when you go from casual to professional. For example, art blocks no longer exist when you're in professional, because art block means that you're going to get fired. Art blocks are just a matter of you not wanting to draw. So you can't just draw at your own pace or whatever anymore. You have to draw at the pace that your publisher or whatever dictates. So if the person desires a professional life with art and they are clearly not putting the effort into it, then it's okay to be like, hey, I feel like you need a wake-up call. There's no future for your dreams like this if you keep at this pace. Because it's clear that you want something really great, but you're not putting the effort into it that the greatness requires. It's okay to say stuff like this, because some people need wake-up calls. But whether if they need wake-up calls or not, the most important thing about critique is that you never give it unless a person asks for it. Critique is different from, the empty compliments that you can get on Twitter or whatever. They're like, yo, I really like the asshole that you drew on this character. And I'm like, yeah, thank you. I'm really proud of the anuses that I draw as well. And critique can hurt a little bit. It's supposed to sting just a tiny bit, because usually these mistakes that people see in their works are something that they know themselves, but they haven't figured out yet how to fix them. And that can be a little bit humiliating or embarrassing to have somebody else point that out. But as long as it remains that light, it's okay. Art is a very harsh industry, in the sense that you're going to get hurt a lot, because art is very personal to a lot of people. Usually art is a way to express yourself, and you usually connect yourself to your art very, very easily. And because of that, it's very easy to take personal offense to people giving critique for your work, for example. So don't give critique to people who don't ask for it. And even if they ask for it, you still have to give the critique properly, because otherwise you might hurt somebody's feelings, or you might personally offend somebody. And unless that's your goal, which I hope it's not, you shouldn't probably do that. But yeah, that's about it. Anything else? Anybody else? I don't think there's anybody else who has sent me anything to critique. If I'm not mistaken. So we are quite good here. In terms of that. Mae-mae, 5-year-old niece. Mae-mae, look, I drew something. I'm gonna be the next Oda. Mae-mae, oh no, you said the magic words. Yeah. It triggers me so much when people say that they're gonna be the next Eiichiro Oda. And they have, like, no talent. Eiichiro Oda was basically like a mega super talent from birth. Obviously, he's put a shitload of monstrous effort into his work too. But he was also like a mega prodigy from the start. So, you know, understand that if you have the desire... Oh, fuck. Stretching. Feels good. If you have the desire to be something that exceptional, then that means that if you don't have the natural talent already, then you will probably need to put even more effort into it than Eiichiro Oda. And Eiichiro Oda puts in so much effort that Shonen Jump had to force him to go on vacation. Eiichiro Oda puts in so much effort that he will almost miss his own son's wedding for the sake of his manga. Or maybe he actually did. Eiichiro Oda is basically married to his series. There's nothing else to his life outside of his manga. So, like, you know, keep your expectations in check. And understand that while it's possible to do basically anything, as long as you put enough effort into it, the concept of enough effort is a mountain. And usually most people who say that they can scale the mountain are the people who haven't even tried beginning scaling it. So yeah. I hate it when journals call authors the next Tolkien. I hate it when video game reviewers call something the Dark Souls of something. So fucking cringe. The, like, pinnacle of that was when Crash Bandicoot was called the Dark Souls of platformers. It's like, what the fuck? What do you even mean? God, it triggered me so hard. Yeah, I know, right? But yeah, I guess that's it. Let's see. Is there any point in rating? Do we have enough people here? Oh, we have 7. We could raid someone. I mean, Abby is streaming, but she has 26. She has way more viewers than I do. Goddamn. Fucking hell. Mae-mae does not like raiding people who have more viewers. Mae-mae is shallow like that. I guess we can raid Abby, since she would be a good target. Unless there's something else you guys would like to ask me. We can just, you know, send the stream going, and so forth. Also, it's so weird that I don't have to talk really loudly anymore. for the mic to pick up my voice really well. God damn, this is so strange. Fuck. I also have like what's it called? Like a limiter on, so I shouldn't peak the mic anymore when I laugh, at least, I think. Yeah, even that didn't go even close. I don't know, next week we'll play some Resident Evil 2, so if I scream at something, maybe we'll see if I peak the mic then. But yeah, there's a limiter, it's like an equalizer, so that all the sounds should be like in a good balance together with each other. But the mic peaks were... No, they're not. They're so cringy. God damn it. Shut up. Shut up. Shut up. Shut up. Nope. It is nice, though, that the mic is now working properly. That is very cool. But yeah. I guess we'll end the stream here. I will slash raid. Raid. Aid. Abby Alien. You need unfiltered mic to enjoy your cute scared. Hey, now you can at least hear my cute scared noises, right? You don't have to like hear like a third of them until the mic peaks. So now you can actually properly hear the full scream. Isn't that good? That should be better, right? Yeah, exactly. The scream laugh. You can't hear it if the mic is peaking. So now you can hear scream laugh properly. Maybe we'll get something funny to laugh at tomorrow. Tomorrow we'll do some draw pile with a spoopy theme. Scary, spooky, scary skeletons. That's basically it. Today I need to get my book, Spicy Variant, in order. It should be ready for printing after I'm done with it today. And I guess that's it. I hope you guys have a good night. And I hope this is useful in some weird way. And I will see you guys again tomorrow. I'll be available on Discord if you need me for anything. Bye, yo!